Hey guys, it's me again, Eric here at Mountaintop 9, and tonight we're going to be talking about the album Knights of the New Thunder by TNT. Wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. That's not what this video is supposed to be about. This video is supposed to be about the first Deicide album, right? No? Not Deicide? Alright guys, I got it now. We're going to talk about the first Slayer album, Show No Mercy. Now look at that devil guy on the cover. I gotta tell you, that's one of the charming things about this very first Slayer album, is just the youthful exuberance, the way they reveled in that kind of, what we would consider now to be kind of cheesy, but they really reveled in that over-the-top, satanic thing. You know what I mean? We've got this guy here, he's holding a sword, he's got the Baphomet goat head, and it just looks so cool. I love shit like that. Hey guys, sorry to interject, but when I shot the main thrust of this review, I forgot to show off something really cool about the cassette tape version of this album. On side 1, instead of it being side 1 or side 2, it actually says side 6. And then do you know what it says on side 2? Side 6. Now how evil is that? Now that is devil's music, my friends. So, I'll let you get back to the main part of the review. You know, this cover's a little bit cheesy, but I think it works so well for the music contained within. Because let's face it, here on Show No Mercy, the band were playing a very thrashy style of traditional heavy metal still. There were a lot of traditional heavy metal trappings on this first album. They were just sped up. But you can hear stuff like total Iron Maiden worship on a track like Cryonics. When you get to the latter part of that song, especially that melody line that's going on, that is total Iron Maiden influence. And I mean, you can even hear the influence of Judas Priest on this album. But it's very thrashy and it's very aggressive, and of course the lyrics are just over the top satanic stuff. And that is one thing I love about these early Slayer albums. On Show No Mercy, Haunting the Chapel, and Hell Awaits, Slayer were just full on into kind of delving into a very supernatural side of things, talking about Satan and all kinds of stuff beyond the grave and beyond our understanding, and they just went full bore into that shit. Now once you get to Rain and Blood, yeah, you have songs like Altar of Sacrifice and whatnot, which is just an amazing fucking track, one of my favorites on that album. And of course there's stuff like the title track to South of Heaven and Cleanse the Soul and all that, so you get little dabblings on future Slayer albums, but Slayer would never again be as over the top, just ram you over the head, satanic as they were on their first 3 releases, and Show No Mercy just has that total gleeful abandon delving into that type of subject matter, and the cover reflects that. Now, let's get into some of the songs. Evil Has No Boundaries really starts the album off with an energetic flourish. I've always loved the wave of energy that comes over you when you listen to this fucking song. It fills your body with aggression. That's why going to a Slayer show, I mean, let's face it, even today, if you go to a Slayer show, when they play these classic songs, you still get that aggression just wells up in your body. You know, it just kind of makes you come alive, this music. There's just a power to the classic Slayer songs that will just never dissipate. It'll always be there. And on Evil Has No Boundaries, we got classic lyrics to kind of just make a great, you know, announcement that Slayer has arrived when Tom Araya spits out the lines, blasting our way through the boundaries of hell. No one can stop us tonight. He has such a great conviction in his voice, and that's the thing that I've always loved about Tom Araya in his golden period. And I would consider his golden era this album all the way up through Divine Intervention. After that, it's hit and miss, and especially on these latter releases here in the 2000s, he's gotten into this shit where he just screams. It's just a non-stop kind of fucking just a mono sound where he just keeps screaming himself hoarse. There's no light and shade to it anymore. You don't feel an actual, like, satanic evil like passion like he used to have. But on this album, we don't have that problem at all. When he does those opening lines, evil has no boundaries, you know that Tom is here and he fucking means business. We've got some nice soloing on this song. We've got the backup gang vocals during the chorus. I think Gene Hoglan, the legendary drummer from Dark Angel, and he also played in Death, I think he's one of the backing voices on this fucking song. And Evil Has No Boundaries, it's a fun track. It's not one of my favorites, but I've always, you know, it's a good fucking opener. There's no doubt about that. If you were like comparing Show No Mercy to Kill 'Em All, say the albums were going head to head and track by track, I would take Evil Has No Boundaries over Hit the Lights any day of the fucking week. No doubt about it. But moving on, The Antichrist. This is a great song, and it's a very unique, that opening riff is unique in the Slayer catalog, because you gotta admit, Slayer would never again play a riff quite like that. It's just very unique. I like it. It's cool. And then we get into the rest of the song. This is a heavy song. I saw Slayer perform this at least once live. It's a great song to have in the live setting when they do perform it, and it's just a catchy tune. The thing about The Antichrist is it's a catchy fucking song. The next song, Die by the Sword. Now there's a classic for you, and I remember when I saw Slayer do this live, it was kind of funny. At the same show, early in the set, Tom Araya said to the crowd, he said, "Do you want to die?" He yelled it into the mic real loud, and you know, people in the crowd were yelling, "Die by the sword." They thought that meant that Slayer was going to go in to die by the sword. Now, I already knew what Tom meant when he said that. And he kind of laughed when he heard people saying "die by the sword," because what he meant, he was saying the line from Postmortem. So they ended up delving into Postmortem and, you know, doing that one. It was a blistering rendition of the song. And but lucky enough, later on in that set, the band did play "Die by the Sword." This was back in 2000. I think it was on the God Hates Us All tour. It was a great set, even though I don't like a lot of the God Hates Us All album. They played a great set on that tour. I think they only played maybe 4 songs from God Hates Us All, and then they played a lot of classic material. But anyway, talking about "Die by the Sword," another fond memory I have of this song that I really love is on the Live Undead album. I love it how Tom introduces this fucking song. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. And then he says, "Well, I say fuck the pen, because you can die by the sword." I've always loved that. The next song, Fight Till Death, is just a good placeholder song. It's aggressive, it's got some it's a nice piece of thrash, and it's energetic, but it's not one, you know, Fight Till Death. It's just kind of a stopgap on the album. It's not filler by any means, but it's not one of my favorites. Now, the next song has some very interesting riffing. Metal Storm, Face the Slayer. It's just got good riffing all the way through. That's what I like about what Slayer were doing on this album, you know, because Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman were still kind of relying heavily upon their earlier influences, but they were mixing it in and kind of just making it fucking heavier, adding more balls to it. So I like that, you know, it's just a cool tune. Now, we get to a classic on the album. After Metal Storm, Face the Slayer, we come to Black Magic. And if this isn't, you know, anyone who, say you were making a top 20 Slayer list of your top 20 songs, I mean, I think Black Magic would have to be in there somewhere. This is just a pivotal song in Slayer's career. It starts off with that buzzsaw riffing and just such a highly memorable refrain coming from the guitar. Those pinching notes just ringing out in your ears. And then when you get to that verse riff and it gets to that descending section of the riff, you just feel like you could just smash through your kitchen table. That's how powerful that fucking riff makes you feel. And Tom just comes in and he sounds so primal on this song. When he says stuff like "a force of Satan's might," the way he sings it, you feel like his eyes are gonna turn red, you know, and he's gonna start spitting blood because he just sounds so venomous as he spits out those words. He sounds like a man possessed, so that adds a genuine flair to the song. Now, the next song after Black Magic is called Tormentor, and it has such a great opening riff. It's very catchy. It's kind of played in a similar style. It reminds me of the riff in Remember Tomorrow by Iron Maiden. The riff where, you know, the song gets heavy. it just kind of has the same style, sort of. And then the lyrics. This song is one of those tracks by Slayer where they're talking about a psychopath that stalks, you know, innocent women and whatnot. You know, one of those types of tunes, which Slayer would, you know, they would go on to do more tracks like this. Like on Hell Awaits, they had a song called Kill Again, which is a great fucking track. And, you know, I know they did more shit like this down the line, but, you know, Criminally Insane. But anyway, on this track, Tormentor, it's just so catchy, and it's just pure Show No Mercy, because it just has that gleeful Show No Mercy sound. I don't know how else to describe it other than you gotta put this track on and crank it up, because it's just great. And I love the scream when Tom Araya belts out Tormentor at the end of that chorus section right before it goes into a blistering lead. You know, when he screams out Tormentor, he's pushing for those high fucking ball-busting notes, and that sounds great. So Tormentor, highly recommended track on the album. Now, as far as the Final Command, that is just balls-to-the-wall thrash. If you want to hear super aggressive thrash on Show No Mercy, look no further than the Final Command, because you'll definitely get it on this one. I just love those fast pick notes, man. They just fill you with adrenaline. Cryonics, I already touched upon. It's got a heavy Iron Maiden influence to it, and I've always loved it. It's a fun song. It's kind of mid-paced. It never gets fast or anything like that, but it's a good one. I like it, and it's placed at just the right place, just the right placement on the album, I think. Now, when you get to the title track, Show No Mercy, kind of once again, I'm going to go back to the Metallica Kill 'Em All comparison, since these came out around the same time. You know, that album ends with Metal Militia. Full-on fucking thrash, goes out in kind of a similar fashion. Well, this song, Show No Mercy, it's kind of the same way. You know, it has some of the same template that song has, just the same nature to it. It's a fucking thrash band in 1983 ending their album on a blistering note, and I think it's a good track, but it's not one of my favorites on the album. But let's just kind of talk, let's kind of wrap this up. Let me give you my final thoughts about Show No Mercy. If I was going to pick my favorite tracks on Show No Mercy, I would probably say Black Magic, Die by the Sword, and Tormentor. And, you know, I'd give an honorable mention to The Antichrist. But yeah, man, this album just has brings back so many great memories for me. You know, it just, like I said at the beginning of this review, I don't know how else to describe it other than to say it has that cheesy satanic flair that certain 80s albums had. You know, some albums did it in a mature fashion and you could take them a little bit more seriously. But Show No Mercy now, looking back at it now, it has some of that cheesy exuberance to it. And it's just a fun album. It really is. This is a party album. You want to crank it up and just have a good time listening to this one. When the band would move on and when you get to songs like Haunting the Chapel, the title track, that was a little bit more serious, you know. That stuff kind of hits you a little bit more. You know, the sound was getting harsher by then, and especially on Hell Awaits. We get into just a totally desolate, fire-ridden hellscape on that album. Just total darkness by the time you get to Hell Awaits, and you're just drowning in it. The band just sounds so purely evil by that point. And I really liked the makeup that they were wearing at the time, because it wasn't over the top like glam type shit, you know. They weren't smearing lipstick on their face and wearing blush and all that shit. They were just putting some black, you know, makeup around their eyes, and then the black leather stage wear was real cool. I thought that really suited the Slayer sound, having that kind of image. I mean, once Slayer started coming on stage wearing fucking football jerseys and shit like that, that kind of lost the luster a little bit, you know what I mean? I liked the way they looked when they take the stage back in the early days, you know, Show No Mercy through Hell Awaits, you know, about 1983 through 1985, I think they had a really cool image that fit the music. They just struck a nice chord the way they looked especially during the Hell Awaits era. But yeah, guys, that's all I got to say about Show No Mercy from Slayer. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know if you want me to talk about some of the Slayer albums that I don't really fucking care for. Like the one that came out last, Repentless and stuff like that. Because I could make a video also just talking about the Slayer stuff I don't like Diabolus and Musica. You know, I could do stuff like that where it's a little bit more... I'm not, you know, right now I'm only doing Slayer reviews where I'm basically kissing the band's ass. You know, I'm talking up Divine Intervention. I've done a review for South of Heaven and now Show No Mercy, and they're glowing reviews because I'm talking about the good shit. Hey, I have no problem making a video about the Slayer shit that I don't like, alright? So let me know if you'd like to see a video like that. That would be fun to do. So, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your favorite tracks, and I'll be seeing you again real soon.